more than touchdown favorites in Cleveland Sunday afternoon. Brew, what do you need to see to think the Ravens are all the way back?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I probably will not think they're all the way back until they overcome Pittsburgh, so they're leading the AFC North, and beat Pittsburgh. And that could be the same week. But if they win out going through Pittsburgh, they'll be 8-5. Pittsburgh got Cincinnati next. Let's say that's a win. Chicago, that's a tough game. Let's say that's a win, though. Then they have Buffalo and the Ravens. So let's say they lose to Buffalo. The Ravens beating them would make the Steelers 7-6.
Sure.
That's when I'll really, because they're not even in the playoffs yet. And they're playing well, but that's when I'll really be like, okay, you can exhale. They are back. And look, they blew out Cleveland in week 2, 41-17.
In a weird game.
It was I was there, and they didn't look great in the first half, but the defense had an interception, had a pick. So you kind of felt like the defense is playing well. Obviously, they weren't back. The defense was really terrible following that game. And so a blowout, Coach, by itself won't tell me they're back, especially now it's Dylan Gabriel at quarterback for Cleveland instead of Joe Flacco. But what I want to see to feel good about it is a comfortable win. Maybe it's essentially over by halftime. I want to see Lamar start to look like, the MVP Lamar. I'd like to see the run game well. Obviously, the defense needs to continue well. I'm going to say 14 points. I like to hold them to 14 points max. Maybe hold them to a touchdown. And then, Coach, I want to see improvement in the red zone. Right now, they're 27th in the league in the red zone. Last year, they were first. So the red zone, I want to, when they get down there, I want it to be essentially an automatic touchdown. It hasn't been close to that this year so far. So those are the things I'm looking for from them.
See, I do think that you can make a case that they're all the way back depending on how they win. So even though we saw the defense wasn't as good as we thought they were based off of how they played the Browns the first game, that was an awesome game for them defensively and on special teams. So if they can produce something like that, again, to me, that goes a long way in saying this defense is more in line with how we've always thought about Baltimore. Now, the flip side of that is Lamar threw 4 touchdowns in that game, but they were all short, 5 yards because of the turnovers and the block kick. They only had 81 yards of offense in the first half. Yeah. This is a really, really good Browns defense. Yeah. So the red zone would be nice, but to see a efficient and effective and at times explosive Ravens offense, especially early in the game, against this defense, to me, that's a pretty good indication that they can score and be good against anybody.
I 1,000% agree with you.
No, well, I know that I'm not the expert of the show. The authority of the show. I heard off the top. So coming from you, that means a lot to me.
I don't think the show has a singular authority. We all bring our own levels of expertise and experience. But I totally agree. Because that first game, so that was the same weekend as Chiefs-Eagles. We came back. Wilds and I went from Kansas City here. You went from Kansas City to Baltimore. And you were the one, assuredly, of all of us most closely watching that game because you were at that game. And I think you see a game that finished 41-17, and you think one team owned them. The Ravens' offense was bad in that game.
Bad.
They were outgained. Now, again, the Browns at that point in time had Flacco at quarterback as opposed to Dylan Gabriel. But they had 240 yards total, the Ravens did. They were 3 of 12 on first downs. For the two teams, just very, very quickly, here were the possessions in the first half. Punt, 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 field goal, punt, punt, block punt for a touchdown, punt, 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 field goal, punt. There's 11 punts in that first half. I don't think, and don't bring up Cam Ward, Coach, I don't think you can prove anything defensively against Dylan Gabriel because I don't think Dylan Gabriel at this moment is a starting NFL quarterback. The reason I totally agree with Coach is I think you can prove a lot offensively because this Browns defense is awesome. And Lamar is taking too many sacks this year. Thus, you know what I mean, for his own. And the hamstring and now the banged up knee, that part's a little concerned. Yes, about his escapability.
Yeah, well, it really depends on how the offense performs and when. If the offense looks great primarily because it's getting extra possessions from turnovers or short fields, that's fine. But it does affect my evaluation of them. I understand Nick's take that you can't learn much defensively from a game like this, but you can offensively. I don't necessarily think he's wrong or that I completely disagree, but it's just not how I'm looking at it right now. This is especially true if you don't have much faith in the Cleveland Browns offense. That inherently impacts their defense, how long they're on the field position, and so on. There are a lot of other factors at play. For me, it's hard to imagine the Baltimore Ravens proving they're all the way back, whatever that even means, just by beating the Cleveland Browns, whether it's a close game or a blowout. The Ravens are too good a team for me to think that a win over the Browns is that kind of definitive statement. It's the same feeling I had when the Chiefs dominated the Commanders and the Raiders. Those wins told me absolutely nothing. I kept saying that, and Chiefs fans got mad. But beating the Raiders or a Geno Smith-led team that can't stop throwing interceptions means nothing to me. Then what happened? They lost to the Bills, and it was like, okay, exactly. It's the same as beating the Giants with Russell Wilson. It doesn't move the needle. This goes back to what I discussed on Tuesday regarding the Eagles and Packers. Each game this season has truly taken on its own identity. At this point, if you're a great team, a top contender, or a playoff lock, what really matters is how you perform against other elite teams in the playoffs. That's the ultimate test. So, how do you play against the Steelers, the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, or the Chiefs? That is what matters. Blowing out a team here, winning 42-7, just doesn't carry the same weight. I get the counter-argument. The Browns have a great defense, it's a divisional game, etc. I can make that argument too. But at the end of the day, beating the Raiders or Commanders is different because they are fundamentally weaker teams on both sides of the ball, though the Commanders' offense can be a bit feisty. Their defenses are a mess. I understand the point that the Browns are a good defensive team and their offense is semi-competent, and it's a divisional rivalry. But for me, just like with the Chiefs, my stance on the Ravens is born out of respect for these franchises and their quarterbacks. A win like this simply doesn't move the needle. Now, if the Ravens had been losing and genuinely struggling over the past few weeks, more like the inconsistent situation the Bills are in, dealing with injuries but not to the extreme of missing Lamar Jackson or having a decimated defense, then I could understand saying they need a big win here. It would be similar to the Philadelphia Eagles last year after their bye week, following a loss to the Buccaneers. They needed a statement game, which ironically was against the Cleveland Browns, though with Deshaun Watson. They won and the offense looked better. But you didn't really learn anything definitive from that defense going against Deshaun Watson. That game didn't fundamentally teach you anything. What was revealing was when they beat the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Rams. Those wins showed they were for real. When the Eagles beat the Browns, they were 2-2. So it was a different context for a newer team. But my core point remains. You prove you're back, or that you're great, by performing against great teams. That's what it boils down to. I don't like to skip over or overlook any game, including one against the Cleveland Browns. However, there is a certain tier of team. Not every meaningful game has to be against a 9-1 elite team, and you can still learn from playing a lower-level opponent. But the Browns, along with teams like the Panthers, despite a couple of nice wins, or the Saints, are in their own special category. I'm just not sure what you're really learning from playing them. This is why it was so telling that the Broncos struggled with the Raiders. The Raiders should be so far beneath them that the game should never have felt competitive. That's what you can learn in those moments. If the Broncos had dominated the Raiders, you'd say, good, you proved you're not on their tier. I don't think the Ravens need to prove that, just as I didn't think the Chiefs needed to. So that's where I stand. There will still be good things to take away from the game. It's still worth watching, analyzing, and breaking down. But in terms of answering, are they truly back, as in a bona fide Super Bowl contender? I'm skeptical. I suppose the main thing you could learn is how Lamar Jackson looks. Does he look comfortable? Does he look like the player we all know and love? Outside of that, it seems pretty straightforward to me. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens? Do you think they can prove they're all the way back on Sunday? If you do, let me know why. What would you be looking for them to do? If not, what will it take for them to prove it to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, let's get some discussions going, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and would love to have you be a part of it. I want to build something we all feel connected to and are really excited about. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.